Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting guest today with us, and the topic today is still organizational commitment. Up until now, we have been talking about organizational commitment from single faith, an individual who all of his life had one faith. However, we have an individual today who happen to experience multiple faiths. So we will explore more on her experiences. So let's go introduce herself. So Miss Melinda Vega, welcome. And could
So,
you please introduce yourself for our audience?
uh, Dr. Rashid, thank you for inviting me to be a part of this topic. I believe it's a topic that needs to be spoken about and to help especially the newer generation coming up in the careers. My name, as Dr. Rashid said, my name is Melinda Vega. I've been a nurse for over 25 years. I've also am a faith community nurse for Islamic Association of Tarrant County, and I also have been an active member in my community, as well as medical, but religious as well in multiple organizations. I am a member of the American Muslim Physician Association, as well as a multicultural alliance interfaith organization as well. So thank you for inviting me to your discussion.
Oh, great. You have long history of work experience, 25 years in healthcare. That is
Mhm.
pretty significant and looks like that is a high level of organizational commitment. So
Yes.
that leads to us to our next question, that is organizational commitment level in your field versus the other fields. So this is a question we asked our guest. For example, do you think in healthcare industry, especially in nurse and practitioner nurse, do you think their organizational commitment level is different than those who are in academics or in retail or in other fields? What would be your opinion?
I believe as a Muslim, I am a convert of 10 years. So I was a Christian before, Baptist Christian, and now my recent years of experience has been totally different. As we know, I do wear a scarf, so when I walk in, it's very obvious that I am Muslim. So within the organization, there have been some factors that have caused me to when the organization that I'm working for has been very supportive of not only my nursing work experience, but also my religious beliefs. It tends to with the support, it helps me to become a more well-rounded employee. So when the organization is supportive as far as allowing me to have a place to pray, having the opportunity to pray, um, the time to pray, and also respecting, like when there's organizational functions, being sympathetic to what I can and cannot eat, um, and basically educating themselves on how our holidays, being sympathetic to the fact that I do not celebrate the same holidays, so my time of vacation may be different than what their timeline are. So I believe when those organizations that have been very supportive in that, it's been an easier transition to work for that particular hospital setting or any other setting.
Okay, great. So you bring a very interesting point that organization needs to be supportive toward their employees, which can link to the commitment employees have toward the organizations. So it's a friendly work environment, recognizing employee faith, and rewarding and also, be accommodating employees' faith will result a high level organizational commitment. That's what it seems like you are indicating. Is that right?
Correct. I've, in my experience, when I worked for a primary religious, faith-based organization, they're more welcoming to embrace, regardless if I don't share the same um, religion, versus those who are more private sector. They are less educated and um, need more education on what I need for my religion to make me a better employee. And when I worked for the government, at the time, I was in a transitional period where I had just converted, so that was a learning experience for everyone, because even then, in the government, have they were more supportive after I had converted than when I initially converted. It wasn't readily know what a Muslim was, unfortunately, due to the 9/11 situation. That was the negative view of what a Muslim was. So, alhamdulillah, I was able to give dawah or educate um, the positive side of being a Muslim. And for
Oh,
them to see me go from, converting, made them even more curious. And they, I don't want to say that I helped them to make it more of a place more supportive, but I helped educate them to make them understand what our needs are as a Muslim.
oh,
Um,
great. Mhm. Great. All right. Thank you very much. And you mentioned that you have done volunteer work. So if you have to go back and compare, or if you are doing volunteer work today, do you think a person and an individual, if they, involve in volunteer works versus, paid work, do you think their organizational level might be different, or it would be same from your experience?
Well, as a faith community nurse, I received my certification with Texas Health Resource. So in actuality, it was a blessing for me because it was able to help me with my medical background as well as my volunteerism. So I was able to connect the two worlds. So for me, um, I believe when you volunteer for your organization, okay, when they have opportunities for you to volunteer and give back versus a paid opportunity, you become invested. When you see that the organization is willing to give back, it makes you feel a sense of citizenship. You understand it, and you become a part of this world versus just working for a salary. I believe volunteerism is, for me, forgive me, I get more of a emotional, spiritual pay from volunteering, a higher level pay than I do on a salary. You
Oh,
know,
great. Yep, yep. I personally do also volunteer work. And in my, college life, I did volunteer work at the, hospital, like Methodist Medical Hospital in Dallas. I was a volunteer there. So sometime, even though we are volunteering, we are dedicated. We are trustworthy. And based on my experience, it seems like, organizational commitment level based on the responsibility, accountability seems pretty similar,
yeah.
not to, distinct, pay versus non-pay, because those who come to volunteer, they know that they are not going to be getting paid. So this is for the service they are providing out of, dedication. So yeah, that's a great comparison and information you have shared. Okay, that links to our next question, which you have already touched base, that you are being a Muslim for 10 years, and prior to this, you had a different faith. So the question naturally, can anybody ask, how would you, find distinction between your previous faith and current faith? Do you see any parallel, or, how would be your opinion between the two faiths related to
Um,
organizational commitment?
okay. In honesty, when I first converted, I thought I had to forget everything that I had learned in
Hmm.
Christianity.
Hmm.
But alhamdulillah, to my surprise, it is so parallel
Hmm.
that even the stories, of some of the prophets and things like that that I grew up learning, and some of the videos as well. Like Joseph, like Moses. All the Christian movies that I saw. I thought it was going to be a negative thing once I converted, but come to find out, it was. In honesty, this Ramadan, I discovered that it's so similar that even the wording is exact. So alhamdulillah, it gives me a sense of the things that brought joy to me as a Christian continues to bring joy to me and makes me feel a sense of it's not different, it's not that different. So it is very parallel, and it's comforting to know that I can interact with interfaith, other religions and other ways of thinking, and I've had those volunteer opportunities to participate in other interfaith organizations to learn that we're all working towards the same common goal.
That's the finding, exactly finding I have from my research, from the academia and dissertation. There were, hundreds of people that I surveyed, and majority of them, finds is parallel between the major faith in terms of their faith and the way they should be committed toward their accountability and responsibility. So that's a good finding, and thank you very much for sharing. Yeah, that's a really valuable asset for all the organization out there. They should be treating their employees fairly, recognizing that all major faith, they do focus on the organizational commitment aspect, and all the employees should be equally treated and fairly treated. Thank you. All right, that's then next question that we have. Out of the three organizational commitment type we have effective commitment and continuance commitment and normative commitment. So effective, just to give you a heads up, is an emotionally involved with organization, and continuance is like you been there, you are not so effective, you are just time passing. And normative is like you have invested yourself within the organization, and you are respected, and you think you need to be there in order for that organization to perform even better. In other words, you don't want to picture yourself outside of that organization. So out of the three categories of organizational commitment, which one would you be categorizing yourself with?
I would categorize myself as normative commitment. If I may give an example, I worked for Clear Lake Regional Hospital in Houston, Texas, and I forgot that I was Muslim, in the sense of that they saw who I was as an individual, and they saw my growth and my talents, and utilized those and help me to broaden my career. And I started teaching, and so my scarf didn't affect what they believe my skill set was. If anything, it helped them to understand who I was and how I function as a Muslim, and the respect that I had in giving back to the community. So for me, when they showed the commitment to me, I became invested emotionally, and unfortunately, due to circumstance, I had to move away to San Antonio and as well as Fort Worth, so I had to leave the employment. But the time that they committed to me, I became invested. So I believe as a whole person and not just as a nurse. They brought in my experience within the organization. I was able to do different job duties according to my strengths. So yeah.
Okay, that's super. So majority of the speakers we had in our program, most of them did categorize themselves in normative or a little bit more effective. So that's very good. You are invested, and you feel like you are an asset for the organization. That's very good. All right, thank you very much. Yeah, interesting. All right, then next question and the last question we have. So we have many new graduates coming up. After the pandemic or removing the pandemic, there are job opportunities out there, and there is a high turnover ratio in corporate corporate culture. In other words, trying to get, organizational commitment or committed employees is a little bit challenging and tough. You did mention some of the factors that employer needs to be considered toward it too. However, for the new graduates and new generations that coming at our workforce, what would be your suggestions for them, toward the organizational commitment and their involvement at organizations?
I think one of the biggest things that I would say is be true to self. Know that when you go to an organization, it's not just about the work; it's about you as well as a whole being. So, for me, religion is part of who I am, not only who I am, but it helps me to be a better employee. I also believe that giving back is just as important as receiving a paycheck. I believe that once you volunteer for the organization, they can see it's not just about seeing who you can impress. It's about giving back and what your skill set is, versus just receiving a check. When you just clock in and clock out, you lose that humanity part of it, and understand that giving back is a part of what we should be doing as everyone should be volunteering. But when you volunteer for an organization, it helps you become more connected, not only as a business aspect, but also as an employee. They become a second family for you and help you to grow, not only by networking, but to grow within your career, you know.
Yep.
So that's my opinion. Just
Yep, that's great. Yeah. So what you're indicating to become a fully corporate citizen, and
correct.
try to keep high hope with the organization, and don't just focus on the monetary aspect of it, right? And
Sure.
treat the organization as like your family, and try to give back more than what you are assigned for it, right? Or do
Correct.
volunteer work, or do more responsible work than what you have been assigned for. That will catch management's attention, and that will take the organization into the next level, and the customer complaint would be less. There would be job satisfaction. So yeah, so in a whole, yeah, that is a very good and interesting suggestion for the next generation, and hopefully they will be taking this suggestion, and they will be promoting the organization. They would be working, and they would be good corporate citizens, and that would be more productive for our country as a whole. That's very, very interesting. And any other questions or comments you have, Miss Melinda?
No, I say just like anything, it takes time. I think in our society, we're so quick to do the next best thing. At least we believe. But if you slow down and invest in the people as well, as an organizational aspect, meaning they invest in us and we invest in them, then there's a partnership as well as a family setting. And overall, it'll help retain your employees.
Great, great. Yep, yep. That's we all can agree to it. Yeah, yep. Thank you very much. I think looks like we are almost at the end of our question, and I really appreciate your dedication to help us in this program, which would be an educational program for our next generation and interested folks. And may God bless you, and we wish you best in your life and in your faith and in your organizational commitment. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you,
Thank.
Dr. Wafi, for inviting me, and I hope it was beneficial for everyone.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.